Okay guys, hello. I am back with chapter 4 of the confidence code. So we'll get right into it and let's see what we have this week. So I'm going to show you the picture that's here. This chapter 4 is called Become a Culture Critic. And there's this picture. Hopefully you guys can see it. So let's get into it. So we start right away with a confidence close-up. Della couldn't wait to get to the huge new sporting goods store. As she started looking for things to try on, she gravitated to the boys section, her typical move. She wasn't into pink or purple sports gear or short shorts like a lot of other girls. Then Della started noticing the gigantic shots of athletes on the walls. Sick. But wait, the boys in the photos were all in action poses. Shooting, dribbling, throwing, jumping, sweating. The girls, on the other hand, were just posing. One had her hand on her hip, looking like she was flirting with the camera. A few girls were running, but just playing around, no sweating, no intensity. Della felt that familiar sense of frustration and a kind of shrinking. She tried to shrug it off, found some cool gear, and moved on to shoes. Della didn't think she'd ever seen so many basketball shoes. Flashy, plain, Velcro, laces, shiny, multicolored, awesome. Her feet were big enough for women's shoes, but not quite big enough for men's. And when she asked where to look for the women's selection, she was told something shocking. All of the shoes on the floor were for men or kids. Turns out the store didn't stock any women's basketball shoes. Those shoes were only online. At first, Della thought it was a joke. Then red fury washed through her brain. What's the matter with these people? What do they think about girls and women? Don't they get that we're playing too? Great question, Della. Have you ever had an experience like that? Or noticed something about the way the world views women and girls that seems kind of unfair? People treating you differently because you're a girl? Maybe sometimes you're treated better. Teachers tend to favor girls because they are less likely to be troublemakers and often perform better in school. Back to that later. You may not have ever shopped for basketball shoes, but you can probably understand how wrong Della's experience feels. The power of observation. Part of your ability to feel confident doesn't come from inside of you. It comes from the way the world works and how that affects you. Sometimes you can change the culture, but the most important thing to do is notice it. We've been using the word notice a lot because it's a critical confidence skill. When you turn your gaze at the world, being able to notice will help you understand that the feelings you're having aren't random, that you're not alone in having them, and that you might even be able to take positive action. Becoming a culture critic puts the power back into your hands. With Della, for example, at the athletic store, she knew that her feelings of frustration weren't wrong or silly. The problem wasn't her. The problem was the store and the culture that made it seem fine to decorate and stock a store in such an unbalanced way. She deserves shoes to try on. And now she can decide whether to do something about it, like post something on social media or write a letter to the CEO. Confidence warm-up. Look around. These are things some of the girls we talked to noticed. Whether or not they frustrate you, personally, think about them for a minute. Point 1. Girls, more often than boys, are called bossy or pushy or obnoxious when they speak up or take a stand. Point 2. Girls get more clothes or headbands or stuffed animals for birthdays or holidays. Boys get more games and balls. Point 3. Toy stores usually separate toys into boy and girl sections. Girls have more dolls on their shelves. Boys have more things to build. The girl sections are seas of pink. Pink is my favorite color. Point 4. The universal image for a woman on bathroom signs is a cutout figure of a girl in a skirt. And point 5, teachers or coaches make jokes like, boys will be boys. I hate that saying. Quiz. Here's a pretty normal situation, yet there's something off about it. Here's a pretty normal situation, yet there's something off about it. Gigi gets hooked on a new medical drama. There's a team of 4 doctors, 2 men, Dr. Scott and Dr. Gregory, and 2 women, Dr. Runner and Dr. Hernandez. It's all about a scary medical mystery. Dr. Scott and Dr. Gregory end up having a huge argument about it, nearly killing their patient. At the last minute, they discover the cure. Dr. Runner totally has a crush on Dr. Scott and gets lots of hilarious advice from Dr. Hernandez. What's wrong with this picture? 2 male and 2 female doctors. All good, right? Wrong. Because what's the actual story about? For women, it's about romance. For men, it's about work. If you notice that, good eye. Yes, these things actually happened. In 2016, the September issues of Boys Life and Girls Life magazines looked wildly different. The cover of the Boys magazine had headlines like, Exploring the Future, and Here's How to Be What You Want to Be, and offered career options like astronaut and firefighter. The Girls magazine cover promised the lowdown on dream hair, how to wake up pretty, friendship rules, my first kiss, and the new denim jacket. Target introduced a new girl's t-shirt with a Batgirl to-do list on the front. It was pink and proclaimed, dry clean cape, wash Batmobile, fight crime, save the world, in that order. Target, get it together. In 2016, Gap ran an ad with a photo of a boy and a girl. The little boy was wearing a t-shirt with a picture of Albert Einstein on it, and the text in the ad read, Little Scholar. The girl wore a sweater with the letter G on it, accompanied by the text, Social Butterfly, and Talk of the Playground. Do you guys see any similar things happening in all of these ads? I do. Like a girl. You must have heard some of these. Don't be such a girl. You throw like a girl. You play like a girl. Don't cry like a girl. You squeal like a girl. You run like a girl. Quiz. When people add like a girl after any verb, is that A, something thoughtful meant to let everyone know how strong and powerful girls are, or B, something closer to an insult, implying that something in a girl way is lame? A or B? Answer. Let's break it down. Ow, I bit my tongue when I said answer. Let's break it down. We think you know which answer is true. Girls are strong and powerful, as good as, and often even better than, boys at all kinds of stuff. But there are some old-fashioned assumptions out there that girls are somehow weaker or less competitive or sillier. In the last few years, though, people really started to notice those particular words, and they decided to do something about it. They reclaimed the phrase and made it awesome. Check out the hashtag like a girl and see what it means now. Start to look around you for clues about how girls and women are treated differently. You don't have to be defined by anybody else's version of what you should be. Confidence close-up. In 7th grade, Jamie was supposed to write a paper on something she was passionate about. She chose to focus on abuse towards women. It's an upsetting subject, but she believed it was necessary to shine a light on it. When Jamie brought her presentation to school, her teacher refused to accept it. Wow. Even though other kids in the class focused on graphic, violent subjects like animal abuse, genocide, or cannibalism, Jamie's concept was considered inappropriate because it was too advanced. Also, some of the teachers were concerned that it would come across as offensive to her male classmates. So she had to start over. And this wasn't an isolated incident. Jamie is constantly harassed at school for her strong opinions, and all the name calling has to do with her being a girl. Now we have a confidence warm-up. Let's start to hone our powers of observation. Think about the following scenarios, discuss them over lunch with your friends, or pull out your phone and start a group chat. Scenario 1. In action movies, who usually has all the cool battles and adventures? What are the girls or women doing? What are the boys or men doing? So that's one scenario or topic of conversation that you can have. Scenario number 2. If you have brothers, what kinds of chores do they do? What kinds of chores do you do as a girl? Scenario number 3. When you meet friends of your parents, do you get more compliments on how you look and how cute your outfit is, or on something you're good at doing or something you've done? Scenario 4. At kids' birthday parties, are there different kinds of themes for girls and boys? Scenario number 5. Next time you're at the doctor's office, flip through a sports magazine. Count how many male athletes you see. Now count the female athletes. Scenario number 6. Flip through a news magazine. How many articles are about things men have done or male leaders? Now what about women? And then scenario number 7. Do you ever consider whether something is appropriate for you because you are a girl? Life isn't always fair. The playing field isn't always level for everyone at every moment. But if you become a culture critic, you'll have the power of knowing it's not all your fault, and it might spur you to action. Remember, confidence is about action. Girls in the world, here are some stories we've heard about things girls have noticed. Once you start to look around, it gets easier to develop your own voice and start forming your own opinions. 11-year-old Ellie is careful about raising her hand. She thinks about her answer before sticking her hand up. She wants to make sure she has something valuable to say. But the boys in her class tend to wave their hands madly or call out whatever pops into their heads, even when it means they're talking over her or someone else. Sometimes the teacher tells them to wait their turn, but plenty of times she chuckles as though it's beyond her control and uses their shouted out comments to help guide the conversation. And then Ellie feels stupid sitting there with her hand up, following the rules. What did Ellie notice? For Ellie, it seems like there are different standards for girls and boys. She hears the rules and follows them. Meanwhile, some boys don't pay as much attention to what they're supposed to do. Next time, she might say, "Hey, I'm talking," if she's interrupted, or keep waving her hand until she gets to speak. Patricia plays basketball in a bunch of different leagues. At practice one night, the coach told her team to grab a seat on the bleachers because they had special guests, representatives from some major sporting goods clothing brand. One was a former pro ball player. Patricia was so excited to hear about what it's like to be at the top of your game and playing in a big arena, and maybe to get some tips for a winning mindset. Instead, the sports rep and the player gave a talk about how to look your best while playing ball and showed samples of stylish sports clothes and waterproof makeup. What did Patricia notice? For Patricia, playing her best matters more than looking her best. She doesn't really care about how cool her gear is, just whether she can win. It felt like she was being told that how she looks was as important as how she played, and that was upsetting to her. Do boys get tips on looking cute while they play competitive sports? Dress codes are such a big problem for lots of girls, including 13-year-old Cammie. She's been dress coded and given a detention slip for wearing high-waisted jeans and a crop top when she bends over, her back shows. For sporting leggings and for letting her bra strap show when she wore a tank top on a hot day. Yet, boys walk around school with their underwear showing above their saggy jeans all the time. The code for girls is more enforced because the school does not want boys distracted. What did Cammie notice? For Cammie, the dress code doesn't feel fair. She thinks the girls are being held to a tougher standard than boys. What do you think? Confidence warm up. Take out your phone or borrow one from your parents. Girls all over the world use tons of emojis every day, like over 1 million actually. Take a look. Are the emojis capturing all the great stuff girls do? Recently, people started to notice that the emojis for girls were pretty lame. Princesses, brides, dancers, girls with kitty ears. Here's a picture. That's in the book. It says emojiism. Girls clamored for better emojis. That inspired a push to have emojis for girls doing all kinds of things. What do you see on your screen? Are you and your friends represented there? Stereotyping. This is a useful word to know. You probably hear it tossed around a lot. It's when assumptions that are way too simple and often wrong are made about a particular group of people. It happens for a reason. It's kind of easy, and sometimes it can feel comfortable to put people into a group based on looks, race, ethnicity, nationality, profession, hair color, gender, almost anything, and believe they are similar. But whenever we assume that people in any group are all alike, it can lead to trouble. All girls aren't alike. All boys aren't alike. All teachers aren't alike. All parents, see where we're going with this? Stereotyping can do a lot of harm. It can shove you in an uncomfortable box or keep you out of the place you think you belong. That's what happened to Zena. Confidence close up. For her senior yearbook picture, Zena wore a tuxedo that she got from a thrift store. She thought she totally rocked it. When she arrived at the gym for her photo appointment, the photographer looked worried and called the guidance counselor over. The counselor told her that she would have to go home and change. Apparently, the tuxedo was considered not ladylike, so she was not allowed to wear it. The counselor also muttered something about it not being fair to the other kids for her to look so weird in the yearbook. In the end, Zena had to go home and find a dress. Confidence warm up. What do you see in your own family? Do people treat your mom and dad differently because they're different genders? Do mechanics talk more to your dad than your mom? If you live in a single parent household, maybe you've noticed that nobody thinks your dad can cook, or maybe nobody thinks your mom can fix a leak. When you are out to eat with adults, who gets the bill? If you have brothers, do people ask them different kinds of questions than they ask you? Maya told us that even parents with the best intentions can sometimes have higher and more stressful expectations for girls. Confidence close-up. Maya, a 20-year-old college student, remembers that her parents always expected her to do very different things from her brothers. As a teenager, I was lucky enough to have parents who let me be independent. In many ways, it was great. I discovered that the more you show you can do things for yourself, the more others assume you can do those things. I became a great cook, for example. Unfortunately, this eventually became a bit of a problem. When you always get A's, no one is impressed if you get another one, right? Since I was able to help cook after my little sister, my parents began to assume that I would always make time to babysit her and help my brother with his homework and do some of the cooking. At the beginning, it was fine. But after a while, it became stressful, always having to look after others before starting on my own homework or going out with my friends. The more I helped, the more my parents asked me to do, and the more they talked about how great it was that their daughter was so reliable and so helpful. I started to feel that my parents' opinion of me was dependent on me always being so helpful. Now I realized that I could have told them that I was overwhelmed. After all, both my brothers said no all the time, but I never felt that I could do that. I'd love to go back and tell my teenage self that being able to stand up for your own happiness isn't selfish or weak, but is actually a pretty strong thing to do. Women in the world. It's important to look at the adult world with a critical eye as well. In the last few years, the whole world is paying a lot more attention to culture and how women are treated. Here are some facts to get you started. You should know. Girls do better than boys in school at all ages and subjects. Countries with more gender equity are wealthier and healthier. Businesses with more female leaders make more money. Female members of Congress are more effective lawmakers because they pass more legislations and work with opponents more often. You should also know, as of October 2017, only 11 heads of state and 12 heads of government were women, out of almost 200 countries. Only 25% of jobs in science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM, in the US are held by women. Women earn about 83% of what men earn, no matter what they do for a living. So when most men make $1, women make 83 cents doing the same job. In the entire US Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate, there are 535 members. Currently, just 105 are women. But the public is starting to notice. Recently, one of the few women in the Senate was publicly shushed twice by one of her male colleagues while she was questioning the U.S. Deputy Attorney General, also a male. Many in the public were outraged. The media covered it, and women all over the country came with similar stories of being shushed by men. Another female senator was literally silenced on the floor of the Senate as she tried to read an historic letter. Women everywhere got really mad, and the story inspired a children's book. A top female physicist was the only woman on a panel at the World Science Festival. The moderator kept interrupting her. An audience member finally told him to knock it off. The festival got more attention for the interrupting than the science. A growing chorus of courageous women in all sorts of jobs have been coming forward, often risking their livelihoods to talk openly about mistreatment in the workplace. Every day, women around the world are doing brave things. Confidence in action. Major General Jessica Wright is one of the highest ranking women in the U.S. military. Even though she succeeds in a world of square-jawed generals and majors, mostly male, she manages to be utterly herself, and she kicks butt. She became the first woman to command an Army combat brigade. Yet, she still remembers when she was a brand new lieutenant and one of her superiors told her up front that he was not in favor of women in the military. Not at all. There were 500 things going through my head, she said, and I looked at him, summoned my courage, and said, "You have an opportunity now to get over that, sir." It worked. She won his respect, and her career soared. We don't have all the answers, but we just want you to know that your confidence can get shaken by things that are out of your control. Talk to the women in your life, your mother, aunts, teachers, coaches, anyone. Ask them questions so that you are armed with helpful information to make you stronger. Here's the picture. Okay, so this part says piecing. I was just reading this really fast because I have no clue what it is. So this part is called piecing together the code. So it says 1, 2, 3. Risk more. I don't know what 2 and 3 are, so we'll leave that alone. But it says, we hope when you see those 2 simple words, they will remind you of all the reasons you need to be a girl of action. Risk is a major part of confidence building. You've got to try stuff, all kinds of stuff, even if you fail sometimes. So you start building up your confidence supply. Oh, okay. So we're learning the code as we go about. So now we finished section 1. In section 1, we learned risk more. And we're going to get from section 2 and 3, we'll learn the next 2 parts of the code. That's what it was. Sorry, I was confused. But yes, so risk is a major part of confidence building. You got to try stuff, all kinds of stuff, even if you fail sometimes. So you start building up your confidence supply. Awesome. So next time I will come back with section 2, confidence inside and out, and we'll see what they have for us in that section. Nice. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this chapter and that you've learned a lot from section 1. I know I have. And I'll be back next week with another chapter or 2. So enjoy your weekend.